Alright, I'm looking at the Budget Edge of Eternity Commanders here and making suggestions about what you should do to build this deck on a budget. I'm going to focus on mechanics for the commander very closely, so yeah. This set has put an unusual spin on commanders. There's a lot of maybe would-be very standard commanders in this list, but their color identity is way off. So we've got a food commander that doesn't have green. He's a Boros instead, and we've got a Wooburg artifact creature, colorless artifact creature commander, just really weird stuff. We have some of our standard ones too. We've got a Gruul landfall and blue artifact creature as well, and even an Orzhov flicker one to be really weird. So yeah, it opens up a lot of options that you wouldn't have had before. Building it feels kind of weird because they're so off from what you might expect, but the kind of unexpectedness is going to be a huge advantage. And yeah, so one last thing I want to point out is that there's one commander I treated as an actual flicker commander, but most of these would be very good with flicker. So yeah, I guess 3 out of 5 of these would be really good with flicker, but yeah, not necessarily the focus of the deck. Anywho, let's check them out. And before I totally forget, please do hit like and subscribe. Apparently over 90% of my viewers are not subscribed. That actually is a lot worse than a few months ago. It was 80% and I thought it was getting better. It ain't. Alright, so please do hit subscribe. Anyway, alright, get to it, right? Number 5, here we go. Infinite Guideline Station. This is a Wooburg, so white, blue, black, red, green, and it comes in as a 715. Again, this is a spacecraft, so you can tap your permanents to just keep giving it more and more of these counters, and when it gets 12 or more, it has flying, and whenever it attacks, you get to draw a card for every multicolored permanent you control. That is... yeah, multicolored permanent. Permanent is very different than creature, right? Creatures and enchantments and artifacts and whatever else you have sticking around the battlefield is gonna all set these off. Oh boy. Anyway, it is in 1,356 decks, actually quite a bit for how new it is. It basically, the main thing it does is, when it enters the battlefield, create a tapped 2/2 colorless robot creature token for each multicolored permanent you control, and of course station. So yeah, you're going to keep making all these artifact creatures, and yeah, every time it enters. So this is one of those commanders that really benefits from having flicker, something that allows you to put it into the battlefield multiple times. Especially once you get it set up, once you've got all of your multicolored permanents down, it's going to turn into just making heaps of these robots. And then you just need artifact kindred bonuses. We're really going to focus on though is the card draw. This is what I think makes it good later game. You can get your value early with these 2/2 tokens that don't sound like a lot, but when you juice them up, they're going to be really good. Anyway, 37 cents for this commander only. And we got General Ferris Rockrick. Yeah, right, okay. 1 red, white. Again, multicolored, nice. Hexproof from monocolored. That will actually do a lot of work against a lot of opponents. Whenever you cast a multicolored spell, which should be almost all of your spells, create a 4/4 red and white golem artifact creature token. So you're going to make these 4/4s on top of making the 2/2s. The 4/4 is much easier to make as well. So you're going to have all these artifact creatures just building up, amassing them very quickly, right? That's only 50 cents right there. Next up, Feyburrow Elder. 1 green, white. Any 4 or 5 color deck should have this. This is the best mana dork for more than 3 color deck at least. But anyway, Vigilance. This creature gets +1 for each creature. Each color among permanents you control. So when it comes in, it's technically a 0/0, but it'll give itself, because it's 2 colors. It's a 2/2, and then you can be up to a 5/5. If your commander's out, it's a 5/5. Also, it can tap for each color among permanents you control, add 1 mana of that color. So you do only get 1 mana, but it can make any 1 color of mana you want. As long as your commander's out, you're pretty much set. Anyway, 110 for that. It went up a bit. finally, Knight of New Alara. 2 white-green for this 2/2. Each other multicolored creature you control gets +1/+1 for each of its colors. Each. So yeah, the last 2 we talked about, they get +2/+2. Again, you want to be able to get your station going very quickly. So you're tapping these as what, a 5/3 and maybe 7/7. That's large. That's already 12 right there. You need that 12. If you tap those 2 with this out, you're done. Ready to go. And start your card draw engine. Yay. Number 4. Okay, Sir Vondam. Vondam? Sure. Sunstar Exemplar. I didn't say that out loud before. It sounds Dutch. Maybe he's Dutch. Space Dutch, but whatever. For a white and a black. So this is an Orzhov commander. Only 2 to cast, meaning you can get this out very, very early, which is important. Anyway, he's in 443 decks only. Very low, surprisingly. This is an extremely flexible commander. You can build this so many ways. I focused on his removal ability for my suggestions. It's like how to build the removal ability. You could really do this and something else as well. Anyway, so he has Vigilance and Menace. Again, sorry, he's a 2/2 with Vigilance and Menace. And whenever another creature you control dies or is put into exile, so exiled or dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Sir Vondam and you gain 1 life. This is the Flicker commander, right? This is the Flicker. Especially you can turn this into very, very easy, like just piles of removal. I'm going to get into that in a second. And when he dies or is put into exile, while its power is 4 or greater, destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent. Non-land permanent, again, not creature. Creature, enchantment, artifact, anything that's not a land that sticks around the battlefield, you can blow it up. That's some useful stuff right there, especially if they're playing some weird things like battles or something. But yeah, 140 for this one. I think this is the most expensive one by a long shot, actually. By far the most important thing to have is Hero's Blade. So for only 2 mana, this equipment says equipped creature gets +3/+2. Again, so if it's equipped, he's already over that 4, and he will be, anytime he gets exiled, you get to remove something from an opponent. Whenever a legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may attach Hero's Blade to it. Also equip 4, but you don't have to pay that equip cost. Right when he comes in, it will equip to him because he's legendary, and then you can exile your commander again, and just keep doing that. So this turns his ability into like kind of this auto fire thing. 25 cents for that only. Next up, Luminous Broodmoth for 2 white. You want to have, this is about safety, right? Remember, anything dying or getting put into exile will trigger his ability, so it's nice to have things where if things die, you still get something there. And whenever a creature a 3/4 flyer, whenever a creature you control without flying on it dies, return to the battlefield under someone's control with a flying counter on it. So anything that dies is going to trigger his ability, and his +1/+1 ability, not his removal ability, but then it's going to go straight back to the battlefield. And so it's a nice bit of insurance to have there. People won't want to remove him because removing him means that they trigger this removal thing. Very confusing sentence. They don't want him to die because that will trigger his ability, and yeah, he'll come straight back. So kind of no point in doing that as long as Luminous Broodmoth is on the battlefield. But 104, crazy, that's only 104 now. Here's the big flicker. Another round. I love this card. XX2 white. Okay, so for 2 and a white, you can flicker any of your, let me double check here, creatures. Yeah, it is creatures. Any of your creatures you want, you can pick them up, put them back down 1 time, and for every time you pay X, you do it another time. So you can just like pay, 7 and do it 3 times. And if Hero's Blade is out, it's going to equip to him, then remove. Equip to him, remove. I guess the first time it should already be on him, but yeah. So that's triple removal on top of like all of whatever other kind of entering effects you get. Crazy. Anyway, 24 cents. Number 3. All right, we got Tanek Memorial Ensign. 1 red-green. Ensign, I always think of like Wesley Crusher, but that's beside the point. He is a 2/4 and landfall. Every time a land comes in, he deals 1 damage to each opponent, right? And if it's the second time a land came in this turn, draw a card as well. Having 1 extra card per turn may not sound like a big deal, but oh my god, how many rounds do you only use like 1 or 2, spells per turn? This can keep you like, at least, it won't put you so many where you just end up discarding. This will keep you kind of like in the amount of cards you're going to use. I think that's a really good thing. But yeah, also, one thing to point out, it deals 1 damage when the land comes in. The second time you draw a card, and after that, you still do 1 damage every time, right? It isn't instead. It doesn't say instead. It just says if it is the second time. I just double checked. If it is the second time, you draw a card as well. So yeah, if you play 3 lands, you get 3 landfall triggers. You're going to deal 3 damage to each opponent. Each. Just for playing land. Landfall is very gruel already. This is not like the surprising mechanics that you might have that you kind of expect from some of these commanders, but this is still very good if you build it the right way. So red, we want those damage enhancers, and then green, we just want ramp. Hey, green loves ramp, right? 27 cents, not 127. I can't talk anymore. It's summer in South Korea. I have to turn off the aircon to make these videos, so I'm already kind of dying of heat here. It's nighttime, doesn't matter. It was raining today, doesn't matter. It's still like 30 degrees. So if I'm a little shiny, that's why. Anyway, we got Spitfire Lagak for 3 and a red. He's a 3/4, but whenever a land enters, 1 damage to each opponent. Basically the same thing your commander already does, but getting 2 instead of 1 will really, obviously, it's double the effect right there. 17 cents only. And next up is Boundless Realms for 6 and a red. This is potentially like a finisher in this deck, actually. Search the library for up to X basic land cards, where X is the number of lands you control. Put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. So if you've already been ramming, hopefully you've got like 10 lands at least, and you're going to just go get 10 more and throw them straight down and have 10 of those landfall triggers. Insane. This actually I featured a while ago. It's gone up in price to $163, but it's so good I gotta order some. Finally, our damage enhancers that we want from those red cards. Gratuitous Violence, 2 red, 5 altogether. If a creature you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage instead. So every time, especially if you've got 2, Laglak and your commander, Tanek, doing 2 damage every time a land comes in, you're gonna make it 4, and play Boundless Realms. And if you've got, you can go get 10 lands and throw them in, there you go, you win the game. 40 damage right there. 77 cents only. Okay, number 2. We got Memnon, the right hand. There's 3 M's. I don't know how to say it. M apostrophe M. Anyway, okay. 3 blue for this 3/4 flyer. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play play artifacts from the top of your deck. And all artifacts you control have tap to add a blue mana. Spend this only to cast spells from somewhere other than your hand, like the top of your deck maybe. Anyway, he's only in 997 decks. He's only got less than 1,000 decks to his name, surprisingly. I think this is a really amazing commander. Blue artifact commander. Not breaking the mold, right? You're like, yeah, I've seen this before. But still a really good option. Turning all your artifacts into mana rocks as well means that you can do like clues with him and just turn it into like a very easy way to just keep, using those clues as like mana rocks and casting from the top of your deck over and over and over. But what I'm going to focus on is using Scry. Scry means you get to look at the top of your deck at any time, and if it's not an artifact, you're just going to scry 2, and you're going to find an artifact and put whatever else to the bottom, right? So you're just always going to be able to make sure that artifact is on top of your deck, and it's going to be like whatever you need when you need it kind of thing. Anyway, only 53 cents for him right now. Ooh, he's a jellyfish though. Jellyfish Advisor is more useful. Jellyfish, I actually meant to check how many jellyfish there are. I think not many. Anyway, we've got artifact, unsurprisingly, Kappa Cannoneer for 5 and a blue. He has Improvise, so again, your artifacts can help cast the spell. Basically what he can already do, but you can do it from your hand with this as well. So you can potentially cast him for 1 mana, and he'll be a 4/4 with Ward 4. Whenever this creature or another artifact you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, and it can't be blocked. So, whoa. Especially that clue thing I was talking about. Very easy to make these piles of clues. And yeah, with Kappa, it's going to turn into just like this massive unblockable threat. 40 cents for him only. He used to be like a $5+ card. I don't know what happened. Netherese Puzzle Ward for 3 and a blue. Focus Beam at the beginning of your upkeep. Roll a d4, scry X, where X is the result. So every upkeep, you're just going to get to scry automatically. Really useful ability. Perfect Illumination. Whenever you roll die's highest natural result, draw a card. So it's a 25% chance you're going to get to draw an extra card. Hey, not bad. If you have more dice rolling in the deck, you can maybe make better use of this. Anyway, 95 cents. Here's the big one though. Temporal Anchor. 3 blue, blue, blue. 6 altogether, but remember, if it's on top of your deck, you can just tap 6 artifacts and throw it straight into the battlefield. Like, whoa. Legendary Artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, scry 2. So every turn, you're just going to start out, you know, yeah, untap, scry 2, draw. Every single turn. Wow. Anyway, yeah. Whenever you choose 1 or more cards at the bottom of your library while scrying, or sorry, when you choose to put them on the bottom of your library while scrying, exile that many cards in the bottom of your library. During your turn, you may play the cards exiled with Temporal Anchor. Not too bad. Again, yeah, it says during your turn, right? It doesn't have to be that turn, right? It doesn't have to be the same turn. You're going to keep getting these like exile pile that's bigger and bigger. What's important is being able to like protect Temporal Anchor, I guess, but blue is good at that kind of stuff. Anyway, 35 cents only. Yay. Number 1. All right. Bragos Death Gastronaut for red and a white. So this is our Boros one I mentioned before. Artifacts you control are foods in addition to their other types and have pay to sacrifice the artifact, gain 3 life. They're food. Hey, you can use them as food. Any artifact you want. In Boros, this is a super weird combination, right? Food and no green. In Naya, this would be like such a powerful commander. In Boros, this is just bizarre. Very, potentially very useful, but like not your first thought of like food. Anyway. Pay 1, tap, sacrifice a food. He deals 3 damage to each opponent. So yeah, he can deal 3 damage to each opponent just by sacrificing any artifact. At the beginning of each end step, if you gain life this turn, untap Bragost. So yeah, if you gain any life at all, you can untap him and do it again. So you can do 6 damage to each opponent per turn. In Commander, that would be what? 18 damage per turn, just automatically. Like out of 40. Yeah, that adds up very, very, very quickly. Anyway, he's only 61 cents. I'm getting ahead of myself though. He's in 2,525 decks, so much more used. The question really is like, how do you use this in a Boros? So are you going to do like an equipment thing? Do you really want to sacrifice equipment? Probably not, but doing it like a token, I think for me, I would go token. White is pretty good at like investigating, making clue tokens. Red, you can make treasures. Between the two of them, you can probably like make enough tokens to just keep you in like pseudo food the whole game. Anyway, as I said, 61 cents, and we are going to focus on getting value from sacking artifacts. This is what I'm going to look at here with my suggestions. We've got Mirror Retriever for only 2 mana, is a 1/1, and when it dies, return another target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. So this is just going to put another artifact straight back into your hand, which you can put back on the battlefield and just keep going around and around. $1.50. This went way up. One that went way down though, Crime Novelist for 2 and a red. Whenever you sacrifice an artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on him. So he starts as a 1/3, going to get big fast, especially in this deck, and add a red mana. So every time you're like sacrificing any artifact to deal 3 damage, you're going to put a +1/+1 counter and basically use it as a treasure as well. Like, red is not the color you want in this. Well, you don't mind red, I guess, but yeah. Red or white would be better. Anyway, 54 cents only. And speaking of sacrifice, we got Sir Ginger, the Meal Ender, for 2 again. So he is a 3/1 and has trample and hexproof as long as an opponent controls a planeswalker. That's a more haphazard one, but whenever another artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on him, just like the Crime Novelist. And Scry 1. Scry 1, especially when you keep doing it, just is very, very powerful. And for 3, tap and sack, you may gain life equal to its power. So if you want to make sure you're gaining life, this is like not what you want to do, but it is, it's there. It's an option. And 56 cents only. Yee. The list. We've got Infinite Guideline Station for 37 cents. Sir Vondam Sunstar Exemplar for 140. Tunnock Memorial Ensign for 127. Memnon the Right Hand for 53 cents. And Ragost Deft Gastronaut 61 cents. I keep wanting to call him Ragrost. I don't know why, but anyway, take it easy.